Hi, in this video I'll talk about choosing between different variants of Arabic in terms of which one is easier to learn or which one does it make more sense to learn in your particular situation. And I will start with talking about my own experience, then I will explain why I think I chose the best possible option to learn Arabic, and in the third part of this video, I will delve into details on how you should choose which dialect or which version of Arabic to begin with if you're learning Arabic or thinking about learning Arabic in order to make your experience most productive for your goals. So let's start. So when I started learning Arabic, I had no preference. I was not interested in any country in particular. I didn't have plans to travel to an Arabic speaking country. I also didn't know much about Arabic dialects and how different they are, because sometimes it's really hard to understand a dialect if you did not learn it on purpose. So I started learning Fusha because that's just what I thought, what you were supposed to learn. And all the books that I used, all the materials that I used were all for modern standard Arabic. But as you may know, the problem is that this variant of Arabic, it's not really spoken in real life. There's no native speakers to modern standard Arabic because every single Arab speaks some kind of dialect, and modern standard Arabic is the language that you can hear on the TV, that you can read in literature books, newspapers, etc. So that's what I was learning, and I was mostly self studying. And then I started learning Arabic at university, and there we learned a little bit of Fusha and a little bit of multiple dialects. It was really hard for me because classes were on Zoom, and for about a month or two, I would cry after every class because of how hard it was. And sometimes I would even turn the camera off and cry during class because I could not understand anything. I was using Google Translate throughout the whole class, trying to capture some words my classmates and teacher were saying, but it was super hard just because I had no exposure to dialects before that. However, later when I got used to hearing and reading dialect and learned to understand it a little bit, it turned out to be easier for me with my background knowledge of modern standard Arabic, because I knew some grammar structures that exist in modern standard Arabic but don't exist in dialects. So the way dialects are taught is really chaotic, and you only get bits and pieces of different grammar rules. And for me, it was really easy to understand them because I already knew the foundation. And then I realized that you cannot speak to an Arab in Fusha because they will probably understand you, but if you do not know any dialect, you will not understand them. So I decided to learn a dialect, and after I was done with my university course, I was self-studying Shami, Levantine dialect, and I had a tandem partner whom I was practicing with. So I think starting your Arabic studies with the modern standard Arabic and then switching to the dialect is the optimal version of how you can organize your Arabic learning process. Because if you start with the modern standard Arabic, which is more difficult, then when you later switch to a dialect, it's easier because you're kind of going from a more complex thing to an easier thing. But however, if you start with the dialect and then try to understand the news on TV or online or read literature, it will be really hard because there you will see the grammar structures that are not present in dialects anymore. But it really depends on your goals, your preferences, and your interests. And now I'm going to talk about the exact questions that you want to ask yourself before you start learning Arabic or before you set a certain plan for yourself. For example, to study Fusha for 5 months and then to switch to an Iraqi dialect or whatever. So there's only just two questions that you need to ask yourself. One is, do you have a preference? For example, when I was starting, I didn't have a preference. I didn't have a country that I wanted to visit. I didn't have a certain interest in a culture or whatever that would tie me and would make me want to learn this particular dialect, for example, Palestinian or Moroccan. So I could just start with Fusha. But if you do have a preference, if you have a family or friends in a particular country, then it makes a lot of sense to learn the dialect of this country. The second question is it urgent? What I mean by urgent is how soon do you need to have a decent level, or maybe not even fluency, but be able to survive in an Arabic speaking country. For example, you're going there on vacation in, say, 3 months, and you need to be able to talk to waiters, taxi drivers, etc. Or you going to have your exchange semester in an Arabic speaking country or whatever else travel plans you've got. Or maybe you're trying to get better at Arabic for your job prospects. So if you have something like this, that means that it's urgent. So you have a deadline by what time you need to have a certain Arabic level. So if your answer is yes to both questions, yes, you have a preference, you have a country in mind, and yes, it is urgent, you have a deadline, then you should definitely start with the dialect right away so that you only concentrate on this dialect and you get as far as possible in this short amount of time that you have in your language learning journey. So when you need to use this language, you can apply as much as you could learn in this amount of time. If the answer is yes and no, so you do have a preference or a dialect that you want to learn, but you have a lot of time, you have no deadline. Obviously, you want to learn it as fast as possible, but you don't have any framework that is limiting it. Then you can start with the modern standard Arabic or Fusha, and once you have mastered some basic grammar structures and vocabulary and you feel more or less comfortable, you can switch to your dialect of choice and apply all the knowledge that you got from Fusha to the dialect and then expand your knowledge of the dialect. In this case, you will be able to both read and understand TV shows, etc., things that are in Fusha, but also you will get conversational in your dialect. Or if you have a lot of time and you can afford studying both, you can start learning both at the same time. So Fusha and a dialect. But I don't recommend that because I did that, even though not from the very beginning. But at some point, I was learning Fusha and dialect at the same time, and I would confuse them. I would mix up words and grammar structures. I would speak half in dialect, half in Fusha, and even though it's better than nothing, it's really annoying. So I recommend to just focus on one thing at a time. First, get basics with Fusha and then concentrate on your conversational skills in the dialect that you want to master. And now the third option is if you don't have a preference, you don't care which dialect to learn, you just want to learn Arabic and you're just interested in Arabic in general, like I was, then definitely start with modern standard Arabic and spend as much time as you can learning it and getting as far as you can. And make sure that you reach a really good level in Fusha. And then you'll be able to learn any dialect much easier and much faster because your foundations will be super solid and you will be able to apply them to your studies of a dialect. So basically, what you will have to do is just simplify some grammar rules from from the Fusha version and learn some new vocabulary that is different between the modern Southern Arabic and this dialect that you're learning. And again, I think that this third option is the best one because it allows you to understand and use both Fusha and the dialect. And then you can learn another dialect and another dialect and expand your Arabic knowledge even further. Also, a drawback of only learning a dialect and not learning Fusha at all is that you will only be able to understand the natives to this country or people who are native speakers of this particular dialect, and you might not be able to understand people from other Arabic countries that have a very different dialect. For example, if you speak Palestinian Arabic, you probably won't be able to understand Algerian Arabic, which is really different. It has a lot of influences, or Darija, which is Moroccan Arabic, and is also quite different from the rest of the dialects. However, if your time is limited, then you just have to make the choice and learn as much as you can for your goal. I hope it was useful. Thanks for watching. Bye.